I took kind of a flyer here on CELH. I took a lottery on this today. I took a 33 calls. I paid 16 cents for them. 33 calls. Again, this is a very speculative trade. This was just called a lotto. We're just looking for CELH to continue up. Obviously, it's got relative strength this morning. So I took 33 calls and I paid 16 cents for them. Suzanne, good morning. Can I speak to the colored time frames on SPY, the red, the green, the blue? Um, you're talking about the indicators right here? These, I assume that's what you're talking about. Yeah. Um, the indicators here, this is the current time frame momentum. This is the key one for a 5-minute chart. Let's switch over to the SPY so we can look at it there. All right. So this is current time frame momentum. Blue and green are bullish. Right, blue and green are bullish on the current time frame, and red and yellow are bearish. It's the same across all three, but this is multi-time frame here. This is looking at the 5, the 15, and the 45 together. Look, all three of those, and if they're all going in the same direction, then you get a color. You know, you get red for bearish. So this shows bearishness on the multi-time frame, but bullishness on the current time frame, which means because we've come down so hard, this is showing multi-time frame as bearish, but the current time frame is bullish. And now this is continuing to show bullishness in the SPY. You notice how it went from red here to blue here? That's selling to buying right there on that candle. All right, so it switched over to buying. So that would tell us that there's likely to be some sideways or upward movement in the SPY here, and it's still staying bullish here. But the current time frame, the multi-time frame, you notice is switching back and forth between blue and green, which tells us here that we don't really have much of a trend to follow. But now, if you're intraday trading for 5-minute chart, if I'm trading the SPY, the Qs, the IWM, or whatever, any stock that I'm just trading for an intraday quick type move, looking at the 5-minute candles, this is what I use. I don't use this. I use the current time frame momentum. All right, and this is basically the reflecting the oscillator down here. This is the Laguerre oscillator with the divergence stripped out. It's just nothing but pure momentum. This is a trend. This is a long-term trend. Well, obviously the long-term trend in the SPY this morning is red because it's coming down. So this is what these are the indicators I use. The long-term trend, multi-time frame momentum, current time frame momentum. And again, you get green and blue are both bullish, red and yellow are bearish, but blue is very bullish and red is very bearish. So this is what I'm looking at. So if I was looking at the SPY right now, I'm not going to short it because it's green. It's showing me bullishness. But I'm obviously with this price action, I'm not going to go long either. I need to see some sort of some sort of a movement. So the price action itself dictates whether you take trades or don't take trades. If you've got a trend that's moving up, and it comes back down to the VWAP and then bounces up, then that's a good way to get into the trend. Right now, we get a big gap down and we have nothing here, nothing but compression. And again, I have videos on all of the indicators and how to use them in the SPY Super System. Again, I took a sell H lottery. You see what? Again, it's $16 a contract. It's pretty. This is a pretty inexpensive, and this is early to do a lotto, by the way. But I'm getting in before it moves up to it. If it moves up toward, it doesn't have to get to 33 to make money on this thing, by the way. It just needs to move up a little bit. Right now, it's still trading at about 15 cents. That's actually what I get in at 15. SPY pulling back down again. Very choppy action here. I don't have any I don't have any conviction of what the market's going to do. Obviously, it's a bearish day because of this big gap down, but other than the gap down, we haven't really done anything. And market coming back down again, right back down to the VWAP. Again, we're not going anywhere. This has been the refrain for a lot of days in the last couple of months. You get a gap and then nothing. Yesterday we get a gap and we get a nice move up. The gap filled. We go back and look at it. We had the gap down. We had a beautiful move up. The gap filled right here. Kept going, looked good. We get to the previous day's high and we did nothing the rest of the day. Just chopped around. Foot Locker. Nice little move up here this morning. Gap down hard. Fill the gap. Foot Locker with a nice move up, but it's in the daily chart. Again, the first thing you have to look at the daily chart. You look where it's got relative strength, but look where it is. It's right here at the 8. It's just coming off a big low here. You got too much resistance to mess with it. Again, it's important to make sure you check the daily chart before you take any longs or shorts. So if you're going to swing them, I mean, for an intraday trade, you can use the 5-minute chart and just use that. I mean, this obviously is bullish on the 5-minute chart, but we know in the daily chart it's right up against resistance. So, you know, there's likely to be some resistance on FL here pretty soon. CCL that took a little bit of a hit this morning on earnings has gone green, bounced up green. Micron down hard and still going down about almost 8.8%. Big drop in Micron. Intel on the other hand is up. Nvidia's up. NVIDIA's red now. Pull back. AMD also red. So some of the chips are a little weak. SMTC pull back again. Right out of the gap, right back down, right to the 8. VeriSign, still a nice setup for a long. Sell H pull back. Again, I'll just hold those to see what it does before the day's over. The lottery. really compressed here in FedEx. I don't care for this at price action at all on this strangle. It's the last thing you want to see is this deeper compression like this. Yeah, these are pretty really small candles. If I don't see some price action in this relatively soon, I'm going to probably try to scratch it. Outside? No more cookies. No more cookies. Let's see if I can find you something. All right, just thinking about trying to scratch FedEx. I don't care for this price action in the stock. Too much compression. pretty choppy market here. It's not really going anywhere. Try to make a little breakout, get into the gap, pull right back again. Right to the VWAP and then bounce right back off of it again. Very, very difficult price actually to try to trade. Again, FedEx, I really don't like this at all. I'm gonna probably put it in a sell order in just to try to scratch it. I'm gonna put a sell order in to try to scratch FedEx. It's the compression is not what you want in a straddle or a triangle. Last thing we want, especially with 1 day to expiration. Expires today, which means all the premiums of both the puts and the calls are suffering from time decay right now because of the compression. So if I get a pop one way or the other and it gets me enough to get back to even, I'll get out. It's got a good ATR. I mean, it has a really nice ATR. The problem is we don't have any time on it. It's got to expire today. It's almost $8 on an ATR, but doesn't help me when I'm just compressing like this. Toby, keeping your powder dry across all the markets. Yeah, I think that's very smart. I wouldn't be trading too much right now. Can I show the room only trades that I'm currently in? CVS, that's it. It's the only one. Is it safe to say, Suzanne, that the system uses the colored bars replace volume bars? No. No, it's not. Volume's completely a separate thing. And I don't have volume on here. I have it on my TC2000 chart. But, volume I mean, it takes it into consideration, but it doesn't really. It's looking at it's looking at how close to the high of the candle the close was. If the close is getting higher and higher to the top of the candle or to the high of the candle, then you're getting momentum. But it doesn't necessarily mean that there's volume in it. You have to look at volume separately. And then you got to know on low volume days, it doesn't take as much volume to drive the price up. When on high volume days, it takes more. So I'm just looking strictly at the momentum on this. And the whole point is if you're looking at momentum across multiple time frames, usually it takes institutional movement or institutional buying or selling to move it like that. But the volume itself is not included in there. Yeah, but like if I look at my TC2000 chart, here's the SPY, here's the gap down here. See the volume here this morning, and that candle right there. That's the opening candle, 935. Pretty big volume, just like with the big close yesterday. Big volume on the open, and then anything white is above average, and what it's doing here is you can see that it's pulling down. It's very low volume in the market right now. And if I look at FedEx, see the same thing. Volume just drying up, getting less and less volume. So if the candles are small and there's not much volume driving in either way or the other. If I look at Cell H, see the volume on Cell H when I took that lotto, see how the volume was pushing up in it. So I was looking for it to bounce, and I'm still looking for it to bounce up to around 33 here today. We'll see. But that was an okay. So I keep the volume separate. I don't want to get too much stuff on the Thinkorswim platform. I'm much more interested in the momentum. morning to the folks in YouTube. Sell H shows a 33 strike, 7 cents. Yeah, dropped down. I paid 15 cents for the 33s. Joel, good question on the SPY super system. Is the VWAP a daily or a 5 minute? It's the day the VWAP is only calculated on a 5 minute chart on the SPY super system. The VWAP on a daily chart is in my opinion is worthless. I only use it on a 5 minute. It is not anchored at all. I just use a standard VWAP that you can get at any platform, and they start the VWAP, redo it every day. You notice here how the VWAP was up here yesterday, and it starts down here this morning. It's recalculated at the beginning of each day, and then the VWAP is independent on the price action for the day so far. Sell H, they went up to 7. Yeah, if I had known it, if I had seen it drop that much, I probably would have grabbed some more. Because I still like it for a lotto. You can take it anytime during the day. It may get there, it may not. This is something that's a very speculative trade. It's not something you're gonna put a lot of money into. But it is bouncing back up again. Joel, there's some other VWAPs called AVWAP. You can have VWAP based on on quarterly earnings. You can have VWAP based on a 3-month time frame. Those are typically used on dailies. I don't use them. I use just the VWAP on the 5 minute for intraday trading. For swing trades, I'm using the 50, the 100, the 200 simple moving average, the 8 exponential, and the 15 exponential for major support and resistance levels. And then I have some other support resistance I put on there. I use some horizontal support and resistance levels based on high volume that I create myself, draw them on the chart. ALNY breaking out. Harry says right through a compression with a Heikenatz reversal candle. Again, you can't really trade options on this thing. So $287 a share, but it's very strong here off of this the report that it got, approval that it got. It's moved up nicely, up about 13% right now. For example, the ALNY, the 290 calls, 290 calls expiring today, 150 by 320. So you can't trade those, or you shouldn't be trading those kind of spreads. If you're going to do anything like that, you would have to do a debit spread on it and try to get a decent fill if you like it long. Yeah, I know you've been in the trade. You've been in the stock in preparation for the approval. Yeah, I understand that, Ari. But you know that business. You know those stocks. You know when their approvals are coming up, whether it's likely to be approved or not approved. So you can do very well in those kind of things. It's not something that that average traders are going to be able to do unless they're getting information from somebody. Sell H moving back up again. SPY coming back in a little bit here. I got a sell order on FedEx to break even. I don't know if I'm going to get it or not, but I put a sell order in. This is really pitiful compression here. Just the range of the prices are tiny. Do I have a sell order in the sell H lotto position in case it pops? I'm just watching it right now. I'll decide later. I don't know how high it's going to go, and you know I've got 15. Cost me $15 a contract on it. I'm just gonna. I don't want to put a sell order in it. You know, typically what I'll do is if it starts to move, I'll put a sell order for half of it at 30 cents. If it moves up into the 33s, and then I'll hold the other half for you know, for since I get a free trade. If I get 100% on half of it, I can get a free trade the rest of the way. But it's pretty early yet, and I don't even know if it's going to work. I'm just taking it. This is an early entry on here. You can probably get it for about 11 cents right now, and if it doesn't go anywhere, you're going to. If it moves up to around 32.90, you'll be in profits. If it just drops down, you'll end up losing all the money on it. So that's why it's a lottery. Really, mind-numbing price action on the SPY right now. And sell H right here at the top. Again, get stacking green candles. Gilead bouncing up after taking a little bit of a beating here the last few days. Not going to touch it down here. Getting SPY one red candle. Now we're getting a green candle. Lockheed Martin coming down. Uh, Defense Department has have given a contract for the next generation fighter jets to Boeing as opposed to Lockheed Martin. So, and Boeing's not really doing too much though. It's up this morning, but nothing too dramatic. Lockheed Martin taking a little bit of a hit on it. Pretty big hit on the Lockheed Martin, actually, down about almost 6% today. FedEx with a little pop here. All right, see if we have any questions here. Very slow day in the market here. Just a big gap down, and market SPY just chopping around. Made a little move to the upside, a little move to the downside. Nothing here. All you can do is try, if you want to trade, is scalp the stuff, and I would recommend against any trades right now. Lockheed Martin still coming in. This is the daily chart on cell H right here. Again, you see the support level here at 32.40 and resistance up at 33.49. So I'm just looking for a move up toward there. That's all. And again, this is just a lottery trade. This is a very speculative trade. I don't see much else to even trade here today. VeriSign looks pretty good, but it's pulled back since the high here this morning. I am in a strangle on FTX, looking to actually get out of this thing for break even if I can, because I don't like all this compression. Whoops. Again, FedEx, I'm going to try to break even on this strangle. I don't like this longer compression, and the SPY's not doing anything. You know, we may just chop around like this all day long, which is not what you want for straddles and strangles. And again, I do have a lottery on cell H, $30 calls, 15 cents. Nothing here that I can really post or send out alerts on. Not in this market. Just very waiting. Just too unsure here. FedEx getting a little bit of a move here. I'm going to watch this for a bit more before I take it off. Any kind of a slowdown of momentum on FedEx, I'll take it off. And SPY not doing anything here. FedEx with a little relative strength at this point, bouncing off this deep low on this earnings gap down. FedEx continuing to move up here again. I'm probably going to peel this thing off as soon as it starts to show any signs of hesitation, just like this, because I don't know. I don't have any idea if this thing is going to get into the gap and stay into the gap or not. It's got a lot of upside potential if it decides to go, but the market's not really doing much for us. Yeah, I'm gonna take FedEx off. See what I can get for it here. Yeah, I paid $282 for it. I just took it off at $287, so I made a nickel. It's basically a waste of time. Took it off at $287 on FedEx, so I'm out of that strangle for a 5-cent gain. And I just don't like all this compression. All right, get some questions here on over here on YouTube. See if we have any questions here in the room. Oh, pretty quiet here. All right, YouTube. All right. Joel, you didn't see the VWAP on the template that Rory sent you? Just realized they had the XSP symbol in there, and I don't think that has volume. Yeah, switch to SPY. I see the VWAP. Okay, yeah. I trade XSP sometimes, but I don't use VWAP on it. I just use it as a derivative of the SPY. Joel, I have a video on the SPY super system, which is trading intraday on the SPYs, the Qs, the IWM. That is the SPY super system methodology, and there's a video on it. And it's if you remember, you have access to it. If you don't have access to it, or you're not having access to it, just let Rory know, and he'll give you a link to all of the videos. There's about 30 of them on all the things that we do. Omar, hello, good morning. This is your first day here. What does the yellow post note in the screen mean? This is basically the trades we have on in the room. I have trades I do posted in the room, and I do alerts. So if it's an RA, it means it's been posted and it's alerted on. Haven't done a lot of trades lately, If it's posted in the room and I don't send an alert out for whatever reason, there are many reasons I don't send alerts out. Too late in the day, too quick a trade to be expected, etc. Too speculative. So this is the only trade we've got on right now is CVS. So that was alerted on. We bought it March 28th. We bought the March 28th calls for $2.96. We sold a bunch yesterday for 3.25, and we're holding the rest right now. All right, that's what that means. Sell H dropped to about 7 cents. Would I grab some more? Let me look at the price action on it right now. Yeah, I wouldn't grab any more right now. I'd wait to see if it bounces back up again. This is where it is. See how it's below the 8 exponential moving average, that white line on the 5-minute chart? I'm not going to touch it long again or add some more until it gets back up above there. If it comes back above here and confirms to the upside, then I'm likely to do that. Likely to add some more. I got plenty of time on this thing. It's either going to work or it's not going to work. So I wouldn't be buying them just because they're cheap. They're cheap because the stock's falling down. Wait for it to bounce up. You're better off to pay like 11, 12, 13 cents than to pay 7 and just let the thing go to 0. When if it's starting to bounce, if you pay 11, 12, or 13, you actually may get some profits out of the thing. So it is starting to try to bounce above the VWAP or the 8 right now. There it is on the 15. It's holding the 15 here, right on the Thinkorswim SPY Super System platform right here. But pretty choppy price action. I was expecting more of a continue up on it right now, but it's not doing that. Again, I'm out of FedEx. I'm out of the strangle on FedEx. I did make a nickel on it, but I don't like this compression. Strangles and straddles, you want to see some price movement, and you don't want to wait a long time because this bleeds your premium out of your options when you get this kind of price action. All right, just going to look around for some more trades here, see what I can find. FedEx is bouncing up. Again, I just took a nickel profit on it. Right now it's trading at, still trading at around 282. I get out 287. I had PDD strangle yesterday that I took overnight. That was a good one. That went from about $4 to about $6.50 this morning. Right now it's back down to 380. And that's because it bounced. This morning PDD pulled down hard. This is where you get a gap down. If you get a gap down in any trade that you're in, strangles, straddles, longs, shorts and longs. In other words, if you were short PDD, this is a gap down. And one of the rules I have is gaps are gifts. If a stock gaps down in your favor or gaps up in your favor, take profits, because the gap type moves in the market can either do a gap and go, which is the least likely. So if you get a gap and go, yeah, if you take it off, you'd be leaving some money on the table. But the most likely thing for gapping is a gap in a compress, or a gap and a bounce. In the case of a gap down, a gap and a bounce back up into the actual gap fill right here. So 2 out of the 3 things that are likely to happen with a gap are gonna be negative for you if you try to stay in the position. FedEx with a bounce there, so it's up to 288 now. So I said I get out at 287. I'm done with it. I'm done with this one for today. The end pointing out IBM is relative strength. Yeah, pretty horrible daily chart though. Here's the IBM chart right here. This is the daily on it. We switch to the 5-minute. You can see the nice relative strength after this big pull down this morning. This drift up. This was off of lost some government contracts yesterday. They canceled the government contracts. ACN took a really big hit on that. Accenture. If I show you that, you'll see what that did. This big gap down here is recovering right now. IBM is in the same situation in trying to recover. It's got relative strength and it's filled the gap in. But the daily chart on IBM is not something I'm thrilled about. It is right kind of in that gap right there. Again, this top of this gap will be some resistance for IBM. FedEx grinding up. Dr. Phil, does anybody do prop trading with options? I assume I don't know. I don't do any prop trading. Depends on the prop firm. Depends on what their criteria is for trading. Omar, thanks. What does 3-18 RA in red letters mean? Right here. This is when we took the trade, March 18th. RA means this, it was called out in the room and there was an alert sent out on it, and this is the trade. CVS by the March 28th 66 calls for 296. We had a sell order for 346. Took partial profits yesterday at 325, and we're holding the rest. Jesus. Lordy.
I feel okay, sort of. You know, I'm not bedridden or anything. I just feel okay. Well, I think I just got some bad germs on the trip that have turned into bacterial instead of viral. Yeah, and I wore a mask on the plane, but this kind of pneumonia is airborne, so it's highly contagious. So far, the other women I've traveled with just had a cold type thing, so. But I've asthma, so, you know, I've done it. Yeah. Oh, you know why? I have one of these. I have one of these cool little things that covers the camera when I turn off the machine. So. Well, I even got dressed and stuff.
Omar, the 318. Whoops. Omar, Omar, you still have a question on what that means? 318. That's March 18th. That's the date we took the trade. It was called out in the room. That's R for the room, and it was alerted with the R with the A. Didn't used to do this, but people had questions as to whether the trades were alerted or whether they called out in the room. So I put a code there in front of them. And this is the basic trade right here. That's the whole trade we took, and that was the date we did it. And here's some of them. Here are the ones we've had. We had this Redfin. This was we sold for this for a profit. This is a SPY we sold for a profit. Timus was a loss. This was a TD a straddle on TDD that we took profits on. Again, CRA we took it on the 13th. Those are all the closed trades that we've got in this year. A lot more than that. SPY moving up here. What is the indicator on the bottom showing red and green? This one here, that's the actual oscillator. Is that what drives these color changes? This is a modified Laguerre oscillator that indicates momentum with the divergence stripped out. So it's just pure momentum. This is the actual oscillator. It goes from 0 to 100, right? Between 0 and 20, down here it's green, and between 80 and 100 is red. This is the very bearish area. This is a very bullish area. Anywhere in between, the color is going to reflect the direction. So if it goes from green to yellow, it's coming down through 80 down toward 20. Once it gets to 20, it goes to red. Then it stays bearish all the way. Once it starts to come up through here, once it breaks out, it gets above 20 and goes into between 20 and 80, it goes to blue. And if it goes all the way up to 80 or above, it'll go to green. That oscillator is what. And the reason I like to have it on here is because the color changes are important, but the slope of the oscillator helps a lot to determine how strong this is. You see how this is sloping up pretty steeply here, and this is blue. See how we're getting a nice bounce in the SPY off of that. That's actually a SPY super system setup right here, coming off of the 15 right here. And if I switched over to Fibonacci candles, we could probably find a Fibonacci reversal candle in there too somewhere. Yeah, right there. There's your Fibonacci reversal. It goes to blue. That's the SPY super system entry for a long trade. I'm not trading it right now this morning because the market is way too choppy, but that is a SPY super system setup right there. Went from selling to buying, breaking above the 15 EMA, the little red and green line right there, with a Fibonacci reversal candle. So if you were watching that and trading that, that's where you'll be trading it, and you'd have a pretty nice profit in it right here. Again, I didn't used to have this on here. There was a money flow thing that I didn't really like. I don't think it worked that great, so I didn't use it. But I do like to be able to see the slope of the indicator itself, because it tells me how strong the move up is. This is a pretty nice move, pretty quickly. And this was coming down. Notice how this came down pretty hard. So this was green, went to yellow right here. Sometimes it takes a little longer to get there. When you see how this is up at 100, it's got to wait till it crosses below 80 to switch to yellow. But if I'm watching the indicator, I can see it coming down, and I'm watching the price action, I can see this is a short right here. But you're not going to touch it because you got the VWAP right here as support. You have to look at all those things.
Yeah, so you could find them quickly, but it really had a lot of good information, because I see that the other FOQs are working so much more efficiently, and they're really nailing it, been very, very busy, no doubt about it. So,
I didn't expect you to be all caught up. You did more than I expected as far as even just jumping in. I'm looking at the norm and get to a world of IT all done. I know
well,
what you're talking about. I just haven't found it.
okay, well, good, I'm glad you got one, because, yeah, will you share that folder with us?
Yeah, well, the problem is it's a bunch of things that are not and or offloaded. So
Okay.
that's where like this is my library.
Uh-huh.
It's my library, which means it's everything from other anyone. So like
Okay.
a lot of them are like team, like some of them are taken care of managers, some are
Right,
taken
right.
care of
Okay.
so I don't even think I can share this with my phone. This is where I finally hit my little
Okay.
page. Now I just have to surf through them all. I didn't need
About
to.
quarter past 12 here.
Well, it was probably before, I know it was before I went on vacation, so it would be
Market moved
early
up pretty
February.
nicely, actually. Pretty nice little bounce in the SPY.
And it has the name Christina.
Let me take a look where the gap fill is on this thing.
It will have
Yeah, the pivot point is the gap fill's right here. At about 560, 569. So we're quite a ways away from that, but we are into the gap right now. Haven't hit the high of the day yet. We're just here 560.56. Whoop, just above it right now.
Oh. Okay, so you're trying to define view the non-users network support channel?
Yeah, yes, I think it's the one where we set up our Slack so that, we can easily find things and also like we can mention.
Right, a couple more questions here over in YouTube.
I'll find this Slack.
Okay.
I'm wasting time
Yeah.
right now.
Okay.
I'll find it. I know
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I will find it.
Does anybody this is a prop trading question. If so, what brokers do you trade every day at a certain time live? I trade all day, every day, 5 days a week, from market open to market close. And we only take high probability trades, so we don't take an awful lot of trades here. We're just taking the very high probability trades. We try to do swing trades when possible. Market has not been conducive to swing trades lately, so we do a lot of intraday trades. And we take what's called SPY super system trades off of the SPY super system right here. This is what's called the SPY super system. It's a piece of software that indicates when institutions are in the trades and when they're not. You can see the SPY right here has gone from red selling to blue buying. You notice that the SPY is moving up. It's telling us that the institutions right now are buying in the SPY, but off of this current time frame momentum, multi-time frame momentum, and long-term trend. This is what I use for intraday trades. For swing trades, I use both of these. I use all of these actually on a daily chart. But notice the SPY is ripping high right now, ripping high by quite a bit.
There we go. Thank you, Christina, for the update.
Yeah.
If so, what brokers? Yeah, I do trade every day. What brokers? I use. You can use any broker you want. This is Thinkorswim. This is the platform that we use to put the software on. The SPY Super System software resides on the Thinkorswim platform. But I don't trade off of Thinkorswim. You don't have to trade off of it. You just have it installed right on the Thinkorswim platform, and you get all the current information that I've got here. It looks exactly like mine if you buy the software, and this Rightline will put it right on Thinkorswim for you. And again, you don't need to be trading on Thinkorswim. I don't. I trade off of Tradier, and but other people trade off of TradeHot, off of Fidelity. Some people off of Tastyworks. Some people off the Toss. Whatever you want, you can trade any platform you want. But you get your signals and your indicators from here. Again, you can see what a nice move this was, and again the SPY Super System picked it off right here as it broke above the VWAP, the 15 and the VWAP right there, and you go long. What type of position or number of contracts per trade? Well, I mean, you can buy stock or options. I buy options. The number of contracts isn't what's important. It's how much you're going to put into the trade. So, I mean, if an option's selling at $1, you may take, if you want 1,000, you may take 10. If it's selling at 2,000, you only may take 5. You basically want to, the number of contracts doesn't mean anything, because it depends on how much you're paying for it. If I'm buying sell H at $15 a contract, if I want to put 2,000 into that lottery, which I don't. But if I wanted to put if I wanted to, for $15, I can get 10 for $150. So I can put 10 contracts on for $150 for a what would be considered a lottery trade. I put on more than that, but I don't put my usual dollar amount onto a lottery trade. But so the number of contracts is meaningless unless you know how much you're paying for the contract. SPY's still pushing up here, really pretty strong.
Mine are not.
Trump's speaking right now, talking about a bunch of different things.
The view.
And that's where the announcement of the Boeing getting the government contract from.
That's what I say.
But he said there'll be flexibility on tariffs. You see, that's what's causing this market to rally up here. But what does flexibility mean? It means they're gonna be selective on what they put them on and what they don't put them on.
I did that. I found it.
I don't trust this game. This big move up, by the way. I don't trust it for a long term. We'll see what happens. I didn't join this. This would have been a nice one to take. I didn't even catch it till up in here, so I missed it. But a lot of the folks that are in the room and who have the software, this is what they do. They just trade SPY super systems. They likely would have caught this. Root finally hit your target, Ali. 160. Yeah, nice, really nice move on Root. Has been a really good one. It's got a little bit more room to the upside, about $5. Is that Root trade he's talking about? This has been a nice one. We've traded this a few times as it goes through this high volume resistance level right here. This is a nice trade. And he just took it out at 160, but that's that's a $12 gain right there. That's pretty nice. Nice trade, Ali. Trimmed half the shares and holding the rest. Yeah, I think it's still got some more room. Again, I took my FedEx off, but just at a small gain. I probably could have got more on it, but again, I just didn't like all that compression this morning. I'll look for something else here this afternoon. Yeah, that FedEx moved up nicely. It went from I get out 287. It's at 392 right now, so it's about $100 per contract profit in that FedEx strangle, which I didn't get.
Doing help requests for these SUSOMs? I mean, are we sending?
Cell H is up to about 17 cents right now.
People out?
Again, it's up over 33. So I want to see how this goes. If we get a decent move here, because it's going up with the market, so it's up to 17 cents. Again, I'm going to watch it for a bit and see if it moves any higher. I'm not interested in just taking a 2-cent gain here. I'm waiting to see this thing I'd like to see it double. Again, the FedEx was the reason I took it off was because there was so much compression in it this morning, and I didn't have any more time today. I only had today. Usually, when we take strangles or straddles, and we take them on Monday through Thursday, we've got an overnight. We don't have an overnight in FedEx, so this was bleeding all my premium, so I took it off, and now we're getting a nice bounce in the market. So there's good profits in it right now. So if you're still in it, you're doing really well.
So you have to look at every single one of those.
Pretty much. Pretty much. That's why Karina's hired full-time now. She's gonna
That's
start
great.
helping me on that. We're gonna work on estimating processes. So like if it does require me to approve something or something's due, she can
Again, there was Trump saying there was flexibility in tariffs. That's what sent the market up. Basically, what they're saying is they're going to hedge. They're going to hedge on these tariffs. Uh, they say they don't watch the market, but the market has been telling them pretty, pretty loudly that they don't like the idea
Yeah,
of
we were
all
using
these
that
tariffs. So
before with the old stuff.
hedging on them is
And I
you know,
saw
there'll
how
be flexibility is hedging on them, which means that the market's going to say there's going to be some adjustments in some of these tariffs. So that gave you a nice little pop here. But again, I don't know how long this is going to last.
That may be useful during a shift, right? So like if the if guy is ever in this case if you don't hear from a guy yet, shoot down and give me a question about what they're over there. If you have a question about how to do calls and tickets to treasury over
Again,
there.
the tariffs and whether they are
has that changed
what they're
at all?
on, how big they are,
You know, that
when
was
when they
important.
come off,
The only
all those
time-
things is what the market's reacting to for the most part right now. The economic conditions are weakening. As the Fed said yesterday, inflation hasn't come down as quickly as they'd like. They're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. They really can't cut interest rates again until we have inflation under control. And they'd like to cut again with the economy starting to weaken. And again, the tariffs are putting a lot of pressure on the market. And again, that's why you get this release right here when they use the word flexibility.
Do I see the same things?
You should see it just the same way, yeah.
Okay.
So,
I should see all those entries, that's great.
that's right. They're all
A lot of volatility in the market based on all this news and rumors and stuff. So again, Boeing jumped up a little bit, but not a lot. Lockheed Martin came down pretty hard. FedEx jumped on. See, the FedEx jumped on the. A lot of stocks jumped on the flexibility and tariff comment because what that does, FedEx moves goods. I mean, anybody who's moving goods is gonna benefit by if the tariffs become flexible. In other words, there's not going to be as much. That means that there's going to be more sales going on because tariffs by their very nature are going to reduce consumption because they increase the prices on things. Just so you don't understand in case you don't understand how tariffs work, um, tariffs are a fee that is put on products coming into the country from other countries and what other countries are specified. So if there's a 25% tariff on China, China doesn't send 25% of that product, the cost of that product to the United States. The product comes from China, same as it always does. And when the import is over here, for example, if Walmart's picking up products or one of their distributors is, they pick it up at the port. They have to pay a 25% tariff on the item. So if the item costs $100, there's going to be a 25% tariff. It now costs $125. The importer, Walmart in this case, or the distributor for Walmart, has to take that $25 and they have to send that goes directly to the Treasury. It goes to the Commerce Department, I think, but it goes to one of the government agencies that's where the money. So that's how the money's coming in. It's coming in through the people who are taking the imports. The importers who are distributing it to the companies in the United States, like Walmart, they pay the fee. China hasn't paid anything, but what it does, of course, is likely reduces the amount of exports that China will have to the United States because once that product goes to Walmart and it's 25% higher, well, guess what Walmart's going to do? They have a choice. They can either eat the whole thing so that the price stays the same, very unlikely. They're going to pass it along to the consumers, which is what they usually do. So the price on the product goes up by 25%. So what is that going to do to consumption? Well, basic economics tells you that the higher you send the price up, the fewer sales is going to be. So that's what it does is it cuts down on the number of sales, and it adds to inflation for people that are buying the product. The product is more. So the money is actually paid to the government from the importer, which then goes to the company like Walmart, and then that then gets cast onto the consumer. So in essence, the tariff, 25% tariffs is being paid by the people of the United States when they buy the product here. It's a tax.
Now I'm gonna answer Sean. And then I also want to see the other, and I'm not gonna ask this yet with like tagging things. I realize I can tag, like if I didn't get a hold of Andrew, now I tag that gal from follow up. So Christina followed up yesterday with me and she goes, hey, I called BJ's because I saw you tagged them from follow up. Talked to Andrew, they got resolved. So that's a really great tool, I think, because if we're not getting
Yeah, I mean it's a double-edged sword. A lot of times the other countries, if they have tariffs on them, they'll buy more stuff inside the country instead of buying stuff that's imported to them. Um, so that's the whole theory that the United States can force people to start buying stuff in the United States,
So,
assuming it's actually made here. But the problem with the big problem with it is things like automobiles, etc. That all of the parts aren't made in the United States, never have been, never will be, and there's certain things that have to be imported, and that's the long and short of it.
well,
So, yeah, it is a help to some of the other countries who are buying U.S. stuff and they decide not to.
troubleshooting all as a tag.
I mean, there's a lot of unintended consequences out of anything like this. If you go back, not to rant on about this for too long, but if you go back to the 1930s, there was a tariff act put on called Smoot-Hawley, Smoot Hawley, Smoot-Hawley. It was a tariff that was passed through Congress that was put on to countries importing product to the United States, and then they of course retaliated. And if you want to go back and look at the results of what that did to the economy, all you have to do is look at the economic conditions through the 1930s in the United States, and it wasn't pretty.
yeah, I'm familiar with that, if it's not filled in, but once it's filled in, you
So
know.
all we're trying to do here in the market is just
Can't
trade
really
what we
get
see.
into it, like his French desk. Daily ticket number, it doesn't,
Whoops. See what Cell H is doing. Cell H is up to right around 33. I get very close to 33 right here.
That's what
So again, I'm looking to see if we can get a little bit of a run up in Cell H. I won't hold on it too long if I can get a decent profit in it, because I don't know the market's going to keep on going up like this. Those 15-cent contracts right now are at 18 cents. So I'm up basically 20% on them.
So what you're saying, you can't tag this after the fact.
Right,
That's what you're saying.
yeah.
And again, FedEx I took that off at a 5-cent gain. Right now it went from 282 to 392. So it's up about $1. And I think if I was in it right now, I'd take profits here. I could be wrong again, but I think I'd take profits right here.
Since we can add a note that it would be nice if you can go in and make changes. So,
Yeah, it should be.
and then also, they call when they check in, right, and they should. And so we tag, if we're gonna hang up, we tag that, and then with, tech is checking in, blah, blah, blah. And then we have another one, yeah, got it.
Sell H up to
Yeah.
20 cents now on those contracts, 21 cents now.
Another phone call.
So I'm just going to watch it for a bit here.
You don't want to tag that because it's a call number, so you just have to have it as a separate note in the same ticket. And that's okay.
It still gets in the work order. And I want,
These are all fine. But I like
I'm sorry, I had my mic off. Sell H bouncing up a little bit here. The options now at 21 cents.
I'll ask our professional ones prep. Like these are questions I have to write down for next time I give a prep, because that's the specific type of stuff that we don't do.
but then I was told that if you merge and you make a mistake, you can't unmerge.
Oh, that seems like not good.
No, it isn't.
And it's got resistance at about 33.49 is the next resistance level on Sell H. But I'm probably going to shoot to take these things off at 30 cents if they get there. I'll probably take the whole thing off at 30 cents and then look to re-enter later perhaps. But that's what I think I'm going to do in Cell H.
Transfer that, that ticket link to your workbook, to unmonitor.
Right.
Does that make sense to you, what I just
Well,
described?
it kind of does, and it's not you, it's the fact that I'm still getting familiar and fresh, I guess, in the way that the mechanics of it all. So
Yeah.
I'm getting better. I'm getting in there. I'm picking up our tags and our resolutions and doing a bunch of stuff, looking at our templates and doing that. So I'm not as intimidated these days. I can get
Okay.
in there and mess with it. But I'm still learning, like what you're talking about. It makes enough sense, but I don't think I know enough about Freshdesk to really fully grasp it, which is why I made the note. These are all little things we'll continuously be working on. So yeah, I'd love to just call out anything. That's what I'm trying to encourage everybody to just keep sending me things. You're not gonna, I don't want to get overwhelmed. We don't keep adding to the list. That's we got darn list forever, but we'll keep adding to it. Knock them out as we can.
We can only get better, so, yeah, so what about your college?
So yeah, that's all on here. So you know exactly what it works. So this should be helpful. It's got the trackers and the bookmarks and all this stuff. So
That would
let
be
me
so
know.
helpful, yeah, because I'm looking all over the place, and I need it all.
That's what I'm trying to avoid because that's what I get into.
All
Is
right,
I
looks
get
like the fun's over in the
into
SPY
things
here,
and I want to be
unless we get some more comments that did
I get
send it
sucked
up.
into. So anything that maybe you can kind of hear that's relevant to our niche while we're in our support channel, let me know and I'll happily add it real easy. I got stuff, but just didn't want to overwhelm you with too much stuff. But I think this is like essentials that we will need throughout the year.
They might have been questions way up down.
And also, you know, the tip while we're on the tips, just to finish up, if you're ever looking for like files, and I know there was photos in that, or was there files in that? This, if you see files up here, this is any file that's ever been sent through like anything
Oh, okay.
from photos and videos, so you can see it all. So yeah, these are like we have all of our messages in there, so you can
Okay.
find like the photo and all that. Oh, I know I said that we made zone back to somebody. Now I found it real easy.
Phil, how do I know which options for which stock to trade? Well, I mean, that's the finding the high probability trades is what we do. We look for high probability trade setups, and then we determine if we can trade them. We try to determine which particular option. And typically, for most trades, I'm going to take an in the money call or an in the money put. If we're going to go long, an in the money call, usually with a delta of about between 65 and 75. And I have a fairly detailed webinar that a video that I did on that, on basic options and what you look for. You've got to look at it. Options are a different animal than trading stock. You've got to understand time decay. You've got to understand bid-ask spreads, theta, which is time decay, and volatility. How much volatility is in the option prices? So I go into some detail about how that's done. And again, the sell H we took today, that was an out of the money call, which I very rarely do. I only do it when I have lotteries. And lotteries are very speculative trades that I take on Fridays with an out of the money on a stock that I expect to get into the money fairly quickly, like with Sell H. Sell H, I bought it at when it was trading at about 32.75 or so, and I took $33 calls. I paid 17 cents for them, 15 cents for them. Sorry, and right now they're at where are they? Right now, Sell H are at $21 at 20. They've gone from 15 to 21, so they're up about 6 cents. So that's about pretty good actually. It's about 40%. Nice little move in Sell H. Outperforming the market here in this candle, by the way. All right, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get some lunch. I'm going to shut down the YouTube feed. Thanks, everybody on YouTube, from watching today. I appreciate it. Again, I'll be back on Monday at about 11 o'clock to do the YouTube of our room. The room, of course, is open every day, Monday through Friday, from about 9:15 to about 4, all day long. How do I find candidates for lotto trades like Sell H? I basically look at stocks that have been outperforming the market to the upside when the market was moving sideways and down. It's got relative strength. It's within striking distance of the next highest strike, and the option prices are pretty cheap. That's how I do it.
That's okay.
That's good for you.
So also, I have a lot of equipment,
And
and
that's not going to give away all my secrets here.
some of the
So
people
if you want to find how we do this, etc., just join the room. You'll get all of that. All right, everybody. I'm going to shut down YouTube, and I'm going to get some lunch.
try to.
Have a great weekend.